Women have trouble getting to sleep sometimes. Sometimes it's staying asleep. Sometimes it's waking up too early.
I'm Lisa LaCroix, and today I'm going to be talking with Elizabeth Carrington, who is a master certified coach who works with CEOs, entrepreneurs, executive teams, and couples who are having challenging relationship issues. She also supports women who are troubled with lifelong patterns of poor sleep. Elizabeth, great to see you.
Thanks.
Yeah. What's different about either the industry or the way you approach coaching then and now?
Yeah, well, I take the kernel of what I learned back in the day, right? It's 28 years ago now, really, which is to relate with people like they are magnificent mysteries of resourcefulness and creativity, right? So the client has their own answers, they have their own wisdom, they have their own guidance, and us tapping that and accessing that as coaches is still a pure and genuine impulse toward how to relate with another human being, and certainly how to relate with somebody in a coaching capacity. I also have added a whole bunch of skills and tools and processes and, learned a lot of things along the way. And one of the things I learned in the recent decade is about how to clear and move energetic imprints in our system, blocks to our own development, unconscious blocks, of which is pretty unique to think about, old intense experiences or traumas, how to move that energy out of the body. And so in the beginning, it was very much a conceptual experience of coaching. And now I think I've added the conceptual to the body and to energy, and, so kind of bringing a lot of different aspects together. And that's how I work these days, which is a bit of a hybrid model, I would say.
What are the general patterns that you see in terms of the types of issues that women are facing, the women that you work with?
Women have trouble getting to sleep sometimes. Sometimes it's staying asleep. Sometimes it's waking up too early. I mean, they're all different intersection points along the arc of the evening that happen, right? So, and everyone has a little bit different story or variation. But the unique way that I go in is to use intuitive testing or kinesiology, if you know what that is, to kind of check in with the woman's body, which is very knowledgeable if you know how to access her wisdom, to what are the blocks to her particular sleep. So, there's no one answer to every woman. Every woman has her own exact and precise reason that she doesn't sleep well. And that can go back to her teenage years, something that happened that she doesn't even, identify as a problem. It's still ruminating in her consciousness. That would be more in the unconscious domain, or something that her hormones are suddenly off and they're out of whack. And how do you even those out so that you can really drop into a place where you feel it's safe to rest, So I do work with a lot of different women in a lot of different situations. And mostly I work with women that have tried everything, because they're like, you know what? They're smart women. They're, successful. They know how to figure stuff out. They're little engineers in their own life and their health and their, and they usually can figure out most all their problems. But when sleep is so elusive and frustrating, after they've given up, sometimes I come in and say, just give me one more shot, and let's use your body as the answer here, instead of like some book or some study or some research or some melatonin or some gummies or there's a million things that are in the Google search, right, to help with sleep. Let's throw that all out and let's ask your body what's true. And that's when we get to the real gold.
Can you tell a story of someone that you worked with that you had an impact on, or that made a difference, or that there was an impact in their life, so we get a sense of what kind of things or what kind of progression, what kind of arc there might be?
Yeah. Well, let's see. I mean, my partner in life is probably my best example, even though he's not a woman. He really never slept his whole life long for more than a 2-hour stretch, and had a lot of complex trauma in his early life, which of course gets into the body, into the psyche, into the system, right? And had him never feel like he could just really let down and rest deeply. So there were a couple things going on. His was, a complicated situation. It was two-phased approach. The first was he just had literally a physical issue with sleep apnea. So the first step was we got him the CPAP and got him going on that. And that made a huge difference. And that came from asking his body what the problem is. The problem was a disruption in his sleep, which was physically related. That's a physical issue, right? We put on the mask, we put him into bed, and he slept really, really well, which was like 1,000% better than how he had in his life. But what I noticed over time is he was still tossing and turning. He was still waking up. He was still having sweats in the night. Like, what was going on? Mental, emotional stuff. So we went into that. We did a couple of clearings on some beliefs he had about it not being okay to sleep and not being safe to sleep. That's kind of the energy work I was talking about earlier, beliefs and emotions that get in our way, right? And then there was another layer of using, I work with an herbalist, and sometimes the body wants herbs, sometimes it wants flower essences. I mean, sometimes sleep just needs a little bit of cajoling. So herbs are good for that, plant medicines. So he needed a particular herb, which wouldn't work for anyone else, but it's called Indian pipe, if you're curious. And he also needed a CBD oil to help for him. That relaxed his nervous system enough so he could actually let himself go into that state of rest. Now, throw that all out. Don't try any of this at home, because it won't work for you, because his unique body, his unique life experience, his unique emotional anxiety, beliefs, right? What he needed to attune his system to rest was his and his alone. So every single person has their own version of that. And that is the breakthrough of this work, is when you ask the body's wisdom what's true, it gives you the answers, you follow that and you get results, you know. And it's not subtle. It's like he sleeps like 10 or 11 hours a night uninterrupted. That is crazy, you know, compared to what he did his whole life. And he's like happy and alive, and he doesn't nap every day. I mean, he was doing so many things to compensate because he had no energy. Now he never naps. It's not even a thought, you know, live his life, get up and go, you know. So it's pretty remarkable what you can do when you tune into the body wisdom.
I definitely have sleep issues, big time sleep issues. And it's almost like I've sort of given up. I just assume that I'm not going to sleep very well.
Right.
The only thing I've noticed is that if I go to bed earlier, I get more sleep, because I'll wake up at 4 a.m. almost always. If I go to bed at midnight, I'll wake up at 4. If I go to bed at 1, I'll wake up at 4. But if I go to bed at 10:30 or 11, I might sleep till 5. You know, and I know part of mine's hormonal, but I also know part of it isn't, because I had it before.
Okay.
So say someone like me came to you and was like, I don't know, I have no idea, but my sleep is terrible. How would you work with them?
So what I would do with my partner is we'd say, all right, let's go into the matrix of the quad of mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. Where is the primary block to sleep, right? For you. And so yours might come up as, we might get hormonal first. Okay, so what do we need to do to help balance the hormones? Well, let's see what's out of balance and what's the cause of the imbalance. Oh, menopause. Okay, that's a natural thing. So what needs to be tweaked here? Oh, needs a little bit of this, needs a little bit of that. Okay, that's done over there. Okay, you know what? Let's check first, what is Lisa's optimal sleep time the night? And what are the optimal amount of time that she sleeps? Is it 6 hours? Is she a 7-hour? Is she an 8-hour person? If she goes to bed at 10:30, does that make a difference? 10:45? Is it midnight? You know, so we'll find what your body is in tune with for optimal time for sleep, right?
Which I already obviously know a little bit of, because I just told you, because I've had that experience. So now
you've tested it, but most people haven't.
Yeah.
Most people haven't. They're just like, I tried everything. And it's all a blur now because they're overwhelmed with it, right? And sometimes they go to bed early and it works, and sometimes they go to bed late and it works, and they don't understand, right? Which is fine, because the truth is, the truth changes, right? So we do a check-in with you, and it's 11 to 6 or whatever, right? But 6 months later, it could be 10:30 to 5, you know, because your body needs different things. And if we get out of your mind, right, which everyone thinks. I talked to a man yesterday who was like, everyone tells me I should sleep more than 5 hours, but I feel great every morning when I get up. And I was like, great. Sounds like your body's happy. Sounds like you wake up refreshed. Isn't that the point? He's like, but everyone says, you know, I said, do you really care? You know, whatever anyone says, it's like, it's what's true for you. That's my mantra always. What's true for you? So then what's true for you emotionally? What's true for you mentally? Are there blocks to you being frustrated that are coming up because you're like, well, it's a crapshoot. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to sleep well. So this constant feeling of irritation and frustration with sleep. Oh, that's a good one to, do you know EFT tapping? Do you know how to do that? Oh yeah, you do that. Do some tapping on that. And that should help alleviate that long-term chronic frustration that you have. Oh, you also have a belief over here that says, I'll never be a good sleeper. Oh, you need to clear that one. You need to get rid of that puppy because that is messing with you every single day. You have an identity now about not being a good sleeper. Okay, how do you clear that? Oh, there's a really cool tool that I know how to clear that. Would that work? Yes, do that 3 times because it's a chronic thought that you have that you'll never be a good sleeper. Okay, great. Anything else we need to know? So by the end of the time, right, we have this map for you that says, do this, get these herbs or tinctures, get this belief clear, do the EFT tapping on this, and maybe talk to this somatic person who does some clearing. You just need 2 sessions with this. There's some energy trapped in your whatever. Like, it's very precise and specific. So nobody else will ever have the same session because it's different for everyone, but you'll go away and you'll go, this is what I need to do. Then to do it, right? Because people get excited about they have the answers, and then sometimes they have a block to doing it, which is why when I work with women, often I put them in groups so that they can keep each other accountable and support and keep cheering for each other over time, because it takes a while to work the map. You don't just get a map and you check and you're good to go. You actually have to put in some work, right? You have to do some sessions. So it's not just a simple wave the magic wand, you know. I don't want to misrepresent it at all, but I want to tell you that when you have your map, it's your map and it'll work if you follow it. You know, that's
Awesome.
the thing.
So talk a little bit about then your offerings. Is this a one-on-one coaching that you do? Is it through a program? What would people expect if they were wanting to work with you?
Yeah. So if people want to do the group experience, it's 3-month process. It's called the Deeply Rested Program, Women Reclaiming Peaceful Sleep. And it really, that is the sole intention, is to create women that can rest deeply and feel rejuvenated and radiant in the morning because they feel deeply rested. So it goes, we talk twice a month in group on Zoom, so that there's support and camaraderie along the way. And the beginning of the series, the next one is starting January 25th. The beginning of the series is your own personal sleep attunement map. And you do that with my colleague, Barbara, and I. The 3 of us get on the phone anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. We get on the phone. We give you your map. Here's what's in the way of you in sleep. And then you procure whatever you need. If you need supplements or herbs, or you're low in minerals, causing your whatever to do whatever, you know, you get on board. And usually there's some mental, emotional clearing to be done. So some of that I can do because I have lots of skills and tools for that. And some of that can be done by another practitioner outside of this, of which I have tons of referrals. And then over time, each time we get together on the phone, this is really cool, we reattune you. So Barbara and I are on the phone on Zoom, and we bring out your map and we say, okay, you've cleared 85% of the sleep anxiety. You got 15% more to go. Go do 1 more session on that. Oh, your hormones are back to about 85% balanced. You need some more time with the same protocol you're doing. Just stay on that. Oh, you've got this going on. You know, so every single time we check in to see where you at. So you can literally see the percentage of your progress, you know, how you're doing. You get that feedback and the satisfaction of knowing that what you're doing is working, if you're doing it, you know, and that's really important. And if you're not doing it, I remember one time we checked, 0% movement on this. And the woman was like, yeah, I haven't done anything. Okay, well, that makes sense. You haven't done it and it hasn't worked. It's just that you haven't done anything. So get to it, you know. So it's really you feel seen, I think, in the process because it's real and true to what you're doing, you know.
So where would people go to learn more?
They can just go to my website, elizabeth-carrington.com. And right on the top, there's a sleep, deeply rested, it says on the top. And that's the whole program details right there.
Great. Sounds amazing. Sounds
and
really.
If they want to, they can set up a 15-minute quick chat with me to see if they qualify and ask any questions. And I'm sure as people are listening, they're like at once intrigued, but also like, and how would this work for me? Because I'm not sure about this, this, and this. And I also take this and I have this medication or whatever, you know, and I'm fine to just jump on the phone for 15 and just chat with you. So.
Excellent. I will put that link in the comments below and in the description. And people that you feel like they're relating to this, and I'm sure there are many, because this is a common problem for women in our, you know, in that I like to say, women who weren't born yesterday.
Yeah. And even through the pandemic, there's been so many new sleep disruptions and anxieties and rightly so, right? It's been a freaky time. And so even people that hadn't had any sleep issues historically, some of them have started to have them. And so really, it's applicable to anyone. If you've had it forever, if you've just had it through perimenopause and menopause, or if it's just a new thing that's cropped up that those don't apply, we can help for sure.
Perfect. So before we wrap up, one of the things that I guide my interactions by is what can I learn and what can I give? And I want to touch on something that we talked about in our conversation last week when we decided to do this recording, was the fact that you have this great program that's going to be so important and so impactful for so many people, but you mentioned that you don't feel all that comfortable getting on social media about it, and that's the area that I specialize in. So I'd love to have a little bit of a conversation on that and see if there's some little piece that I could give and offer as thanks for you in terms of making a difference in that way.
Oh,
Do you want
thanks.
yeah, can you share a little bit about what your experience is around that?
Yeah, I think it's just a general sense of incompetence about how to, like, it feels so overwhelming and vast. It was kind of like, I remember in my early days looking at colleges, it's like there's a million college, like, how do I choose? Like, where do I even start? My son's that age, so it's right in my mind right now. I feel the same feeling again. Where do we begin? You know, so it's like I have a presence on Facebook, but even just that just feels like enough to keep me trying to be there enough. And how could I possibly add anything else? How could I possibly, and how do I even navigate something like TikTok, which I don't even know where to begin. You know, feels like the whole thing into video. I mean, this is fine because you set it up, but like to initiate videotaping myself and then loading, downloading, uploading, putting it somewhere. Where do I put it? What if I screw up? What if I don't cut it right? Can I cut it? You know?
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'm going to go back to your premise, which is there's no one right way. It's all what's right for you, and figuring out where your strengths intersect with the opportunities for making a difference for other people, for sharing how do you reach your audience? How does where does your content and your skill set, that intersection fit in terms of platform and in terms of approach? I do have the premise that video is super important. So I guess my first question, well, first of all, I'd say on the strength side, you are so articulate and so able to speak so effectively. That is a skill set you don't want to be missing out on in terms of sharing your content. So right now on Facebook, are you mostly doing written posts? Are you doing lives? Are you doing, so see what a missing opportunity this is. Someone who's so articulate and so able to speak so well, who's only doing written posts.
Right. Silly, right?
So the first place you could start is right on Facebook. And one of the things that I would say, you don't need to feel like you need to jump into TikTok right away. It's definitely its own platform, but it sounds like from what you've shared and what I know, that building out your Facebook profile and adding video into your Facebook, I mean, especially if Facebook is so far effective for you in connecting with people, building community, connecting with clients, building know, like, and trust with potential future clients, then if it's working that way for you, then I say go deeper in on Facebook and start to look at video and say, well, what's the gap for you between, and you already mentioned a couple, you wouldn't know necessarily how to set it up or how to do it.
Yeah. And who wants to listen? I mean, there's this whole thing about where do I start with my message anyway? It's like, I've been coaching forever, and there's so many things that I could talk about. And do I just talk about sleep? And is that, like, after a while, like, did people sign up for a whole lecture on sleep and how I work? And, you know, do they want to hear about other things that I do? How, you know, it just feels daunting, you know? So,
yeah, I get it. I think it can be daunting. So one of the things that I've talked about recently is if you are someone who's doing written social media posts, you have a script written for you right there. You've already written your script. And while I'm not the biggest proponent on reading scripts to camera, because most people go into read aloud mode, if you can use a script as a base for yourself to check in and learn some techniques for converting written language into spoken language, which I have some video content on that myself, because there are very specific techniques about how do you make written language come off the page. Most people don't do that automatically. Most people go into the read aloud mode that we learned in school. But if you have the skill set of writing strong content pieces and then learning a couple subtle things like converting that written language into spoken language on the fly, like using how you're dealing with eye contact as you speak, with using some of the speaking skills content that I teach, like pause, then you're in a great position because you already have content written. So I'd say one place you could start is go back to one of the posts you've made that you think is powerful and see if there are a couple of sections that you could pull out and talk about those particular sections on video. And the way that you could think about that is think in terms of long form versus short form. And I would say short form is 1 minute, 3 minute, 8 minutes. And then long form would be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, up to 60 minutes. Some people even do over 60 minutes. I personally don't like to go over 45. But think in terms of short form and long form, and you take one of those content pieces and say, oh, could this be a 1 minute conversation? And I have a bunch of content on the power of working with 1 minute. In 1 minute, you only get to share 3 things about one particular point. It might be, for example, for women in midlife who suffer from sleep, here are the 3 first things you should think about. And then I don't know what those are, but you think about what those things are. And then you can do and then you practice getting that into 1 minute. And then you post that. For you, for right now, what I would say is either do an interview with people, and you could post this, once this is live, you can post this on your Facebook. And then the second thing would be to start to talk about something on video for yourself on your Zoom. It's true that the whole process of recording and editing can be daunting. And I would not start there. I would start with having a basic outline, trying to keep it as short and concise as possible, using your already very strong speaking skills, recording something and posting it. And some of it is just that fear of putting it out there, that vulnerability hangover. And that's something that we have to know is normal and natural and human. And we're all going to deal with it.
Okay. All right.
So
it doesn't really go away, huh?
How does that land with you?
I'm good. Yeah, I think it's almost like I have the sense once I get kicked into gear, I'll be okay. But there's something about getting me over the hump, so I'm just taking this as a sign that I'm getting encouraged to keep going and just do it. And, and it's helpful what you say about that hangover, because maybe that always happens after you do something,
Always, always, always. If the more you put out something that's important to you, the more you put out something that's maybe a little bit outside the box or far outside the box, the more you show something that's true and real about yourself, which is the way social media is going. We have to be vulnerable and real. The more you do that, more you have a vulnerability hangover. And I say, absolutely, just remember that everybody has it. It comes with the territory, and it probably is a sign that we're on the right track. So, and then the other thing I would just reiterate that you just said is that take it as a sign to dip your toe in the easiest way possible, which I think for you is going to be on Facebook. And I think for you is going to be either trying out short form, like what does it feel like to pick one little topic area and record it in, it's video is becoming vertical. It just is, because of TikTok, because of Reels trying to catch up with TikTok, because of Shorts YouTube trying to catch up with TikTok. It's becoming the standard. Try it out, see what happens, and post it as a story.
I can't believe you just held up your phone and it said 11:11. That's been my time since my childhood.
Really?
My magic time. I don't know why. I always look at the phone or the clock or the microwave or at 11:11.
That's crazy.
Do. So funny.
That is crazy. I don't know much about numerology stuff, but I know that 11:11 is a powerful number.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, so there's your sign.
There it is, baby. Yes.
So yeah, I'd say absolutely just jump in, give it a shot. The other thing to know is that most people don't see what you do. So if you think I'm saying this over and over again, or this is content, who wants to hear this, just know that when you start out, most people aren't seeing it. And there's a lot of freedom in just jumping in, putting it out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I feel bolstered.
Okay, good.
One more nudge in me. Thank you.
Good. Let me know. Definitely tag me if you have something that I can give some algorithm
Facebook
boost.
love.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So thank you so much, Elizabeth. It was really great having this conversation. We'll put all the links below. I also have a speaking skills training coming up for anyone who's listening, who thinks that this is relevant for them. Also, if you have a message to share or a program, anything. If you're wanting to make money, make friends, or make a difference, it's really important to get on video. So in the new year, I have Captivating on Camera 2-hour masterclass. I have a couple different dates for it. And then Speaking Skills for Women series starting on January 9th. It's a 5-week program. I'll put information in the comments for information about those 2 programs also. So thanks for being with us today. We've had Elizabeth Carrington talking about midlife women, sleep, and her healing, intuitive, and masterful coaching over the course of the last couple of decades. So thanks for being here, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. If there was anything in today's episode or any other episode that you found interesting or useful or compelling, if you could subscribe to the channel, you can hit that notification button or the like button, or even make a comment below. It all helps the channel grow. And in the meantime, here are some other videos you might find interesting.